All right, what's going on, guys? Beastars Episode 3, The Birth of a Male Wolf. Let's do it! So in this episode, we start off with Haru and Legoshi. We have a situation in which some other animals are talking about Haru, the white bunny, and the fact that she's a slut. I guess she gets around with a lot of the other animals at the school. And she's one to sleep around, if you will. Of course, Legoshi doesn't know this at the time, but he still gets away from the situation. He doesn't feel very comfortable with it. And he even puts a blanket over Haru. He kind of feels like, you know what? This isn't the time to lose my virginity. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. And I'm sure he feels a little bit weird by the situation as well, especially given the fact that he tried to eat her not too long ago. So he gets away from the situation, and then he's talking to one of the anteaters, I believe it is. And the anteater lets him know, hey, Haru's kind of a slut. She gets around, and Legoshi feels a little bit weird about the situation. And we then move on to Lewis. He's receiving an award in front of the student body, and he's getting prepared for the performance he's going to be giving relatively soon. And they're practicing in the student drama club. And we also, during this moment, figure out that everyone in the student drama club has some sort of a mired past. They all seem to have gone through some sort of difficulty in their life. And we don't know specifically what Legoshi or Lewis have gone through. They kind of explain all the different situations. But Legoshi and Lewis are still enigmatic to us. We don't know what their past entails. So that will be interesting to figure out. Especially for Lewis, I feel like. Because it seems like this whole strong persona that he puts on, he's trying to almost rectify something that may have happened in this past where he felt weak. So this is sort of the fact that he's putting on this play in front of the student body with this injury, and he's fighting through it. It's just him. He's got to separate himself from the other herbivores and the other animals. He wants to be the best. And he even, like when he's talking to Legoshi in the office, he even doesn't even want to be compared to the other herbivores. I think he just kind of sees them as a weak species in general, and he's probably got some self-confidence issues by the fact that he is in fact himself an herbivore, and he probably hates it. He's like, why did I have to be born inside of an herbivore body but have a carnivore mindset instilled in me? And there's really a nice scene at the end of the episode too, when he's giving the performance and he passes out from the exhaustion and the pain. He's looking through his skull mask, and the camera is focused on that image. And you see in the skull mask how I believe it's the right eye is in the light and the left eye's in the darkness. I might be wrong. It might be vice versa. But that's a very symbolic image at the end there about how he has this side that's very altruistic, the persona where he's encouraging others to do well in the performance, but then he's also got this dark side as well. He's an asshole, if you will. He doesn't like others. He wants others to do well for him, that he wants to see himself rise to the highest mountaintop so people can recognize him. So it's great to see this conflicting personality that Lewis has. I feel like he's a very layered character, and I'm really enjoying his portrayal so far. And Legoshi also has a nice little moment in the episode as well, where they're having ecology time, which is like this little set aside time period where all the animals go into like a room where it's supposed to emulate an environment that they feel comfortable in. So like the polar bears go in a very cold room, the wolves go in a room with a moon and it's dark, so it's supposed to make them feel kind of like they're living out their animalistic instincts in a way. So that was really sort of interesting. And then one of the wolves in Legoshi's room mentions how a rabbit lives on the moon. And Legoshi starts having images of Haru back in the shed again. And he's got this weird feeling, and he's like, what is this? And his tail starts wagging when he leaves the room. So we would imagine that Legoshi's starting to like Haru, possibly falling in love with her, which is interesting because is that feeling going to be reciprocated by Haru? Because really the only reason Haru was taking off her clothes for Legoshi is because she's purportedly a slut. She just wants to sleep around. Her attraction is more physical, whereas Legoshi seems to be getting very emotionally involved in the situation. So we'll have to see how that little character dynamic plays out. And we'll have to see what happens to Lewis, because when he was giving the play at the end of the episode, now he imagined himself finishing the play and the encore was going to happen afterwards, and no one really saw him pass out. But then when the episode ended, it almost looked like maybe the play didn't quite end yet, and he passed out and everyone was sort of panicking. So we'll have to see what actually happened there in the next episode. And I gotta say, guys, this was a good episode. A lot of interesting character dynamics, and one that I failed to mention earlier was the one in the office with Legoshi and Lewis, where Lewis was mentioning to Legoshi, I want to see your strength. And Lewis is putting his hand right on Legoshi's chin and mouth. And Legoshi almost has a moment where it looks like he's going to bite down, but you see him restrain himself. He's talking about how Lewis has righteous strength. So the implication would be that Legoshi sees his strength as not so righteous, as something that should be looked down upon and something that should be castigated. Whereas he feels like Lewis's strength is something that should be praised and emulated. So a lot of self-confidence issues in Legoshi, and a lot of reservations about his own power. So great episode, guys. A lot of interesting character dynamics, and we'll have to see how things pan out in the next episode. But until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.